Happy Monday, television family. We have safely arrived at the beginning of another week. 7th day of November 2022, one day before the general election. I am Dan Koontz. It's cold, it's cloudy. I hope you enjoyed autumn, all 4 days of it. It was a wintry weekend, and it's going to be a cold, very winter-like week all this week. And we're still, 6 weeks from the actual winter solstice, the actual beginning of winter. Going to feel like it all week long. Forecast details are coming up. In fact, when we do our tour around north central Washington, we're going to see a lot of snow on a lot of real estate. Your very cold forecast is coming up. We had a lot of rain over the weekend, a lot of snow. Omak got 12 inches of snow over the weekend. Conconelli got 18 inches of snow. I think it was over a foot in the Winthrop area. Yeah, and it's still autumn, and it's still early autumn in many respects. Anyway, those details are coming up. We'll have that for you. We'll have the news, some election-related news coming your way as we're getting ready to cast our ballots tomorrow, if you haven't already done so, of course. Sports, Seahawks won 4 in a row. Kraken have won 4 in a row. All the high school sports are now into the playoffs. We'll talk about that when we get to the sports thing. And, of course, general election, the off-year election is tomorrow. And I had a chance on Friday morning to sit down with our 2 local county auditors, Skip Moore, the Chelan County Auditor, Thad Duvall, the Douglas County Auditor, to talk about what they can expect turnout-wise and some very important information for you voters out there. Thad and Skip in the back half of the program. It's cold. It's 30 degrees outside of our studios. Let's take our tour around the valley, and I think we're going to have a lot of that. That is from the Wenatchee Heights area. Again, in the valley, is that the Wenatchee Heights area, Captain? That is, looking down over the low-hanging clouds and fog. We had over an inch of rain over the weekend, if you count Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had almost a half an inch on Friday. Not a lot of measurable rain on Saturday, and then over half an inch of rain on Sunday, 0.57 inches of rain. That is a lot of rain. We only got to 35 for the high yesterday, and our low was 31. We're going to break some records towards the middle part of this week with this bitterly cold temperatures, very cold for this time of the year, heading our way. Camera 2. The nice thing about going back to standard time, ooh, that's cool, from the roof of the Cascadian looking to the south. One of the nice things about daylight saving time coming to an end and going back to standard time is that now this show will be during the daylight, which is nice. That hasn't been the case for the last few weeks, to say the least. That is really cool. You can actually see the snow line on Wenatchee Heights. Camera number 3. The good captain wants to visit a large body of water. I want to say that's the Arundel Rock camera. That's Lake Aniat sitting there, cold. Again, you can see the snow line there. Little sliver of Arundel to your right. Oh, by the way, I'm sure you folks up in Waterville already know this. Waterville schools are on a 2-hour delay today because of the bad travel conditions up on the basin, and there's no after-school activities. But I think the folks up in Waterville already know that by now. And camera 4. Whoa, that's neat. I don't know what it is. That's Cashmere. Is that from Stein or from above Appalantes? That's the Hay Canyon camera, but you wouldn't know it. Somewhere down there is Cashmere. A lot of people had snow on Friday morning, on Saturday morning. Saturday we got up to 49, so a lot of the snow melted. But a lot of locations, especially to the north of us, got lots and lots of snow. And now that the snow is here, it's going to make the air temperature a lot colder. And guess what? We're in for some really cold temperatures. We're going to see high temperatures at freezing. High temperatures at freezing. Overnight lows in the teens. It all begins today. It kind of began in earnest yesterday, we only got to 35 degrees. If you haven't had your irrigation line blown out yet, might be a little too late. This might be the last day to do it, because again, we're going to have overnight lows in the teens. Tuesday into Wednesday into Thursday. Long, cold period of... And the phone is ringing now. You don't see that too often. From the National Weather Service. Here we go. 38. If we're lucky, we're going to get to 38. Again, our rain-snow mix is a distinct possibility. The snow level is going to be right around 1,500 feet, but there's no real moisture in the air. The problem right now is that deep low is just churning off the Washington coast, and it's not going anywhere. That's why we're going to see really cool temperatures, 23 for the overnight low tonight. Again, a little bit of light snow possible, but there's just not a lot of moisture left from the systems that came through. Election day tomorrow, cold. I think it might, I don't even know if we're going to get to 36. We'll find out. 18, look at the overnight lows. 18, 17, 18, 20. It's going to get cold. We are in for some record low temperatures coming our way. It's going to be fairly dry. Today and tonight is our best chance of precipitation. Outside of that, it's going to feel like, I don't know, January 7th as opposed to November 7th for the rest of the week. It's going to get cold. Real quick on the mountain passes on I-90 right now, it's traction tire requirement. Blewett has a traction tire requirement. Stevens has a traction tire advisory. It is snowing on all three of the major mountain passes. 6 minutes after the hour, going to take a break. And when we come back, we will have your news, your headlines on this Monday. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
I'm Dr. Kim Schreier, and I approve this message.
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says the massacre at Sandy Hook was staged. She claims there's no evidence terrorists hit the Pentagon on 9/11. She's even called for members of Congress to be executed. And this is Matt Larkin. He says he, quote, aligns with Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's why Matt Larkin is dangerous, because the last thing we need is another Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress.
ColorFX has moved their shop to a larger location to expand their services, including adding in a state-of-the-art large format printer. They got it. You need banners? They got them. You need vinyl decals for your cars, trucks, vans, or trailers in just about any size? Yeah, they got it. ColorFX has also been providing fun swag and clothing for local churches and high schools around our valley for decades. Support your local print shop. Call ColorFX in Cashmere today.
Heavy overcast, 31 degrees, clouds for the most part, very chilly weather, very cold weather all week long, and really spilling into the weekend, although we should be dry once we get through today. It's 7 minutes after the hour. If there are any close local races, and there probably will be for tomorrow's election, it's possible that we won't know the actual winners for as long as a week. I had a chance to sit down with Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore on Friday to talk about the challenges of getting the results out as quickly as possible because they have a lot of late arriving ballots.
I anticipate that we're going to get close to 20,000 ballots in the next 3 days.
And you have 50,000 and change?
51,000 registered voters.
So almost a half.
Yes,
yeah.
Almost half is going to happen in the next 3 days. And we just cannot push them through the process quick enough so that by Thursday, quite often on the Friday after the election on Tuesday, we're pretty much done with our massive amount of tabulation. That's not going to be the case this time around. Because of short week, we've seen a late return of the ballots. It's going to be midweek. It's almost going to be the Tuesday or Wednesday following the election. This is when we finally have results and have processed enough ballots that we're down to that, 200 ballots in-house scenario. That's a long time. Or not a long time. It's longer than has happened in the past.
Most of the focus on this year's election, of course, has been on candidates, but there is a significant bond issue in our area. The Eastmont School District are asking voters to approve a $185 million bond if passed. It would mean new secure classrooms at Cascade, Kenroy, Lee, and Rock Island Elementary Schools, plus a new transportation facility and repairs and upgrades throughout the Eastmont School District. Superintendent Becky Berg talked about the bond issue when she visited with me at Cascade Elementary, which was built back in 1967.
If you can think of 1967, the last thing on our mind was school violence and having to harden our schools. It was more invitational and please come. That's still in our hearts, but our schools need a single point of entry. We need to see who's coming and going, and we need to minimize exterior doors that may or may not be shut after recess, may or may not be shut in between classes. This bond will significantly help with that. We have 5 particular children here who are in wheelchairs, and the pavement is uneven, the bark in the playground is inaccessible. We have a brand new, beautiful, inclusive playground at Clovis point, and I encourage you to go see it. It's where every child can look out and say, it's recess time and I belong. So that's what we want for all of our schools. If you talk to our HVAC and our electrician, you see the need immediately. We're maxed out in just about both of those areas. So the interior systems in the oldest part of our buildings from 1957 to 2022 is a long time to keep those taped together and pieced together. Our maintenance department does a great job, but there's only so much they can do with aging equipment. We'd love people to visit our schools for events, and right now, if you're here at the wrong time, you're stuck. The traffic circles the entire block and then some, and then very few parking spots. So as with our other schools, we'll have a separate bus loop and a separate parent pickup and drop off, and that should aid in physical safety and in the patience of our drivers, and even help our older neighbors who are tired of the congestion. We will do it Eastmont style. We won't go over the top. We like to say we will not be building glass palaces. We'll be building very functional schools. I loved coming into our new cafeterias and seeing the good old linoleum floors that we had growing up instead of terrazzo marble or anything like that. So as we've been quoted saying in the paper, we're building Fords, not Ferraris, and we're very comfortable with that.
DNA evidence and statements from an alleged victim have led to charges against an East Wenatchee 17-year-old. The charges are rape. Police say the male suspect sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl on 2 separate instances in 2021 while she was staying the night in his family home. The child's allegations was allegedly supported by genetic material found on her clothes and tested by the Washington State Patrol Crime Lab. Douglas County prosecutors filed 2 charges of second-degree rape against the suspect last week in juvenile court. He's now scheduled to be arraigned on November 23rd. Starting today, if you're 65 and older and you live in the Eastmont School District, you can get a free admission to all regularly scheduled events taking place at their local schools. That includes athletic events, concerts, drama productions. The Eastmont Gold Pass will be available for senior citizens in the district thanks to a vote of the Eastmont High School Associated Student Body. The ASB said it's a way of thanking seniors for their support of school activities and events and encouraging seniors to attend those events. If you qualify, you apply for your Gold Pass at the Eastmont administrative offices. Personal ID, of course, is required. They will take your picture. Once the pass is printed, you can present it for free admission at almost any ticketed event on Eastmont School District grounds. The district says that will not include playoff games that fall outside the regular athletic schedule. And finally, the Cascadia Conservation District has selected a dozen photos of landscapes from local contributors for their upcoming calendar. The pictures cover categories from wildlife to agriculture to recreation. Cascadia produces its calendar with local content every year. The district's Facebook followers, by the way, help make some of the selections. A lot of the images that didn't make the cut to the monthly calendar will likely appear in other sections of that calendar. The 2023 edition should become available in the next couple of weeks at the Cascadia District's office on North Mission here in Wenatchee. And you're in the loop on what's making news and what promises to be a very busy Monday. But we will have a newscast for you tonight at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And with the preview, the anchor himself, Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, with only 1 day to go until the election, we'll let you know how candidates are spending their campaign funds. Cloudy, scattered snow showers, and much colder weather in our Monday forecast and beyond. I'll have all the details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has high school football, soccer, volleyball, and cross-country results from the weekend, as well as highlights from the Kraken and Wild, and a look at yesterday's Seahawks-Cardinals game. That and all the day's news stories coming your way tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. Got a news tip? Love to hear from you. Get a hold of us. We try to make it as easy as possible. If you have a telephone, you can call us. If you have access to the internet, you can email us directly. You can go to our Facebook page and drop us a note on the Messenger app, or you can go to our homepage, ncwlife.com, and click on the Contact Us icon. When we come back, Seahawks have won 4 in a row. In fact, lots of football, lots of sports. A lot of sports. I hope I can get through it. We'll find out together in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Election season is heating up, and the NCW Life channel is putting local candidates in the hot seat. Join us starting at 8 a.m. Sunday as we interview the contenders for Chelan County Sheriff and the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. Tune in for these in-depth conversations so you can vote with confidence. That's 8 a.m. Sunday and again throughout the week on the NCW Life channel.
At Washington Trust Bank, can't is a four-letter word.
I think we should hire more people.
Doc, I'm late for a meeting. I'm thinking of starting my own practice.
Do it. Too much capital.
We need a warehouse.
I can't imagine how we do that.
We should knock that wall down and expand.
Do it. There's always another wall beyond the wall.
We believe you can do whatever you set your mind to, and we'll help you get there. Washington Trust Bank, privately owned, locally invested.
16 minutes after the hour, make it 4 in a row for the Seahawks. Knock off the Cardinals 31-21 yesterday in the desert. Geno Smith led the offense on 3 long touchdown drives in the second half after giving up a pick 6 that gave Arizona the lead. Smith says he and his teammates are all about bouncing back from adversity.
Sometimes things are going to happen that, the ball's not going to bounce your way. A couple times it did bounce my way. And, it's how you respond. I think we responded great as a team, going, 3 straight drives, finishing with touchdowns, long drives, tough drives. Everyone in the stadium knew the magnitude of those drives. And for us to, go down there and get scores and get touchdowns, I think it's showing you what type of team we are and what type of team we can be.
Smith threw for a couple of touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III rushed for 109 yards. He had a couple of touchdowns. Coach Pete Carroll said right now the Seahawks are playing consistently good complementary football.
What happened today is we saw us respond to, we turned the ball over, they scored a touchdown, and then our guys just went for it. And we finished the game the way we dream of finishing it, running the football and taking care of the ball and not letting them have it, getting after the quarterback, all that stuff that took place in the fourth quarter there. So I really cherish the finish that we put together. We had 3 drives, there's 13 for 75, 13 for 80 something, and then the last one, I don't know, 80, whatever that one was 85 or something. Yeah, so that's just, you got to be doing it right. And we have to give credit to the guys up front. They did a great job again, and they really came through run and pass, protecting the quarterback, all of the different actions that we did, but then the running game too was really something. So
Seahawks are now 6-3 on the year. Next week they'll be in Germany, Munich to be exact. On Sunday they'll take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Speaking of that, Tom Brady led the Bucs to a game-winning touchdown with 9 seconds left to beat the Rams 16-13. So the Seahawks lead in the conference is 2 games over San Francisco. Good weekend for the Pac-12 for the local schools. The Huskies converted an 18-play, 92-yard drive into a game-winning field goal. They beat 23rd-ranked Oregon State on Friday, 24-21. Coach Kalen DeBoer says it was a night for the Huskies to show that they could overcome adversity.
What a game. Finding a way to win. That's what we talked about, we have a goal of winning championships, and we talked about at halftime. You want to be a championship caliber team. You got to find ways to battle and fight and win games like this. The physical ones, the ones that go back and forth, and the ones that have the adversity that hits you, and throw in there if you lose, the lights go out, throw that in there now too. But certainly proud of just the resiliency and the fight.
Huskies won, Cougars won. Nakia Watson, 166 yards on the ground. The Cougars rolled up 306 yards on the ground, rolled over Stanford on the farm, 52-14. Coach Jake Dickert said it was by far the Cougars' best game of the year.
Winning's a magic elixir, and it just grows so much confidence and belief. But before you win a game like that, I saw it on Monday, I saw it on Tuesday, I saw it in Wednesday's practice, I saw it on the travel, I saw it this morning when we ate pregame. There's a look in the eye. They're hungry. They wanted to win. We wanted to get back out here. We want to show the type of team we can be, and the credit to the coaches and the plan, but the credit to the players that go out there and play with that kind of effort, that kind of energy, and that type of execution. We knew we had a couple of days in preparation on Stanford. I thought it showed.
So the Huskies and Cougars win, not so much for the Eagles. Eastern Washington loses to Idaho 48-16. In Central Washington, they led Angelo State at the half, but then the Rams came back and beat them 22-12. Staying on the gridiron, it was a rainy, cold, miserable night in East Wenatchee on Friday night as we covered the Wildcats and the Richland Bombers, winner to state. For the loser, their season came to an end. Grant and Eric were there with the call.
The long handoff, Gunnar Peterson left side. Just a dive play. He was grabbed a hold of by one man, and he's still pushing into the end zone. Touchdown, Eastmont. First score of the game comes on the ground. It turns out to be a 25-yard extra point here for Leon. They snap back, the spot down, the kick away line drive, and it is no good, wide to the left. See if he goes to the air here. He will, throws right, the ball caught, and then getting away from a man and getting into the end zone with a touchdown for Richland is Brody Bosick. They'll put it down at the 13, 23-yard kick. Again, the snap was a little off, but this kick is right through the uprights and good. On a third down and goal from there. Woodard, he's going to try it again. Has some pressure, steps up in the pocket to the left, now throws the ball tipped up in the air. The ball is intercepted by Eastmont. The Wildcats have it. Woodard has the jumbo set in the backfield. They'll turn and hand it. No, Woodard keeps it, dives into the end zone. Touchdown. Field goal from the 11. So a 21-yard field goal attempt here. Colby Whitby will be the holder. Kick is on the way, and it is good. And Richland looks like they're going to get great field position. High snap. Punt away, and it's blocked by Richland, and the Bombers are going to get it back at the 16-yard line. Woodard turn, handoff, Stewart up the middle, and this time he will not be denied as he takes it in from 8 yards out. The touchdown puts Richland up 23-9. Gale under center. Sends a man in motion. That's Ruffins. Handoff again. Peterson left side. Peterson into the end zone. Touchdown, Eastmont. And I guess you stay at the run game here. Nope, they're going to throw it. Woodard back to pass. Going to go for the end zone and has a receiver open. Wide open. He will collect it, and it will be a touchdown pass. And now it looked like a fumble. No, it's a touchdown for Eastmont. How about a fumble-rooski?
That was amazing.
Eastmont will go to a shotgun. And again, Luke Gale throwing out the flat. The ball is intercepted at the 32-yard line. Not enough to match up with the Bombers here tonight, who come on the road and knock off the Eastmont Wildcats by a final of 31-22.
Elsewhere in Big Nine action over the weekend, Moses Lake gave Gonzaga Prep all it could. But Gonzaga Prep defeats Moses Lake 28-26. Chiawana crushed West Valley. Davis won for the only time this season. They beat Ferris, and Sunnyside advanced to state with a win over Hanford. So the 4A bracket looks like this. Sunnyside are a 16 seed. They'll take on top-ranked Chiawana in the opening round. Richland is the number 13 seed. They'll take on number 4 Kennedy Catholic. And let's jump ahead to slide number 14, where Cashmere ends up being the only Caribou Trail League team to advance to the state 1A tournament. They beat Colville Friday 12-6. Omak upset by Riverside. That's hard to believe. Chelan fell to Newport. And Quincy topped Medical Lake Cascade, losing to Deer Park. Cashmere is an 11 seed heading into the state 1A tournament. They'll travel to La Center Friday in the first round of the playoffs. Okanagan advances to the state 2B tournament with a 55-7 win over Lind Ritzville Sprague on Friday. Brewster's season came to an end. Bridgeport finished on a winning note. Northwest Christian shut out Manson. Liberty edged Lake Roosevelt, and on Saturday, Antioch lost to Welpinit. Okanagan is the number 2 seed in the state 2B tournament. They'll have a first round bye. They'll go right into the quarterfinals in a couple of weeks. Ephrata and Othello survived the weekend of crossover playoff games to advance to the state 2A tournament. The Tigers traveled to Clarkston and won in an upset, and Othello rolled over Shadle Park. Ellensburg season came to an end. They lost to Rogers 28-7. The Tigers are a 15 seed. They'll travel to WF West in the first round of the state 2A tournament. Othello will host Washington. The Wenatchee volleyball team winning the district championship on the road in Yakima. On Saturday, the Panthers beat West Valley for the second time this season. It took them 4 days to do it. Eastmont advanced into the last chance at state with a win over Davis, but then they lost to West Valley. Their season comes to an end. Chelan advances to the state 1A tournament with a 3-game sweep of Colville. Cashmere, however, their season came to an end. They lost to Freeman. Chelan, the Lady Goats, the number 1 overall seed at the state tournament. It'll be Friday and Saturday at the Sun Dome in Yakima. They'll take on the Bear Creek School in round number 1. Manson wins the District 6 2B championship. They beat Brewster Saturday at Omak High School. Okanagan will be the other team headed to state. They swept Lake Roosevelt. Manson will be a number 2 seed. They'll take on Walla Walla Valley Academy in the first round at the Sundome. Brewster will take on Liberty Bell, and Okanagan will face LaConner. Aniat and Waterville Mansfield will also be in Yakima Thursday in the first round of the State 1B volleyball tournament. Tigers will take on Northport. The Shockers will play Orcas Island. Eastmont soccer season, Cane and Wenatchee and Yakima on Saturday. Shut out by West Valley 3-0 in a last chance to state. Wenatchee will be a number 13 seed. They'll be on the road at number 4 Gonzaga Prep Wednesday at 5 o'clock in the first round of the state 4A tournament. Both Casimir and Cascade had their soccer seasons, Cane and Wenatchee, in crossover games on Saturday. Bulldogs lost to Freeman. Cascade lost to Deer Park. Okanagan and Tenasket advanced to the District 6 and 7 crossover games on Saturday. The Bulldogs beat St. George's. The Tigers down Reardon. Liberty Bell and Brewster had their seasons come to an end with losses. Okanagan will await the winner of Davenport and Clay Elm Roslyn in the first round of the state 1B, 2B playoff game. Tenasket will take on Adness in the first round. The cross-country season came to an end on Saturday. The state championships at Sun Willows Golf Course in Pasco. Hayden Roberts of Ephrata took 10th in the 2A boys. The Cascade boys finished 6th, by the way. Liberty Bell's Lecky Albright took 3rd, and the Lady Lions were 4th place. Brewster's Cadence Carrington took 7th. Liberty Bell boys runners did well, 4th as a team. Nicely done. The Seattle Kraken ride a 4-game winning streak as they return home from a great road trip. They beat Pittsburgh on Saturday 3-2. Coming up, Nashville. The game will be broadcast nationally on TNT. The Wenatchee Wild won a thriller on Friday at the Town Toyota Center, but not so much on Saturday. Wenatchee gave up a 4-2 lead in the third period against Merritt, but they won it in overtime. But then Penticton on the following night in Penticton had no problems with the Wild. The final was 5-1. And finally, Houston wins the World Series on Saturday night, beating Philadelphia 4-2. MVP Jeremy Pena, the first title as a manager for Dusty Baker. Whew, that's sports. At 27 minutes after the hour, the Obscura holiday. Today is National Hug a Bear Day today, and I wrote up everything I needed to hug a bear, and I didn't print it up. So there you go, National Hug a Bear Day. As all the experts will tell you, if you're in the wilderness and you see a bear, of course, if you come into contact with a bear, you are supposed to, of course, as the experts will tell you, run towards the bear and attempt to hug it. There's Betty White and her pet bear. That's cute. Yes, so don't forget, this is your chance to hug a bear today. Let's move forward to today in history. Presidential elections. The presidential election of 1876 was a disaster. Rutherford B. Hayes beating Samuel J. Tilden to win the presidency. After the first count of votes, Tilden had 184 electoral votes. He needed 185 to win, but there were 20 electoral votes in 4 states that were contested. In Florida, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Oregon, both parties said their guys won. They did a backroom deal. It was called the Compromise of 1877. The deal was the Democrats would give their 20 electoral votes to the Republicans, so Hayes would win the presidency, and in return, the Republicans would pull their troops out of the old Confederacy, and Reconstruction would come to an end. It was a disaster, to say the least, and it was in the news a lot a couple of years ago. Eventually, Rutherford B. Hayes won, but Samuel J. Tilden got 51% of the popular vote. That seems to happen a lot, doesn't it? The 1916 presidential election. On this date in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson, the incumbent, defeats the former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Charles Evans Hughes. For the Electoral Vote College, it was Wilson's 277. Charles Evans Hughes got 254. It was close. It all came down to California. And Woodrow Wilson won California by 3,773 votes. That was it. And with that, the presidency, the old line is, when Charles Evans Hughes went to bed on election night, he thought he was elected to be the next president, and the next morning a reporter called him up and said, "I'd like to talk to Charles Evans Hughes," and his handler said, "The president can't be disturbed right now," and the reporter said, "Well, when he wakes up, tell him he's no longer president." The 1916 presidential election. 78 years ago, the 1944 presidential election, no real problems for FDR. Once he ran and won for the 3rd term, he was going to run and win for as long as he was alive, and that's exactly what happened. This is a weird scenario, though. In Chelan County, Dewey got 52% of the vote. Roosevelt got 48%. But in Douglas County, Roosevelt won by 23 votes. the 1944 presidential election. The 1972 presidential election, the last time a presidential candidate got at least 60% of the popular vote, it was a landslide. Nixon over McGovern, 520 electoral votes, McGovern 17, and Nixon easily carried both Chelan and Douglas counties, as you might imagine. The fiasco that was the 2000 presidential election, George W. Bush, the governor of Texas, defeats the vice president of the United States, Al Gore. Of course, nobody really knew who won. It took months to figure this one out until the Supreme Court finally stepped in. And it all came down to Florida, and W won Florida by 537 votes for a 0.0009% of the vote. Came down to 537 votes in Florida to determine the presidency. And finally, one non-presidential note. Galloping Gertie crashes to the ground. You showed the video, did you there, Captain? Roll the video. We all know what happened. It opened in July of 1940 when they were building the Tacoma Narrows Bridge during the construction. It wasn't really a problem until they actually put the bridge deck on. They knew they were going to have wind, but the wind would blow through the cables and the steel support and all that stuff. No big deal. Then they laid down the actual decking, the concrete and the asphalt, and that was what happened. And on this Thursday, on this date, it came crashing down 4 months after they built it. Leonard Coatsworth, a writer at the Tacoma News Tribune in Tacoma, the last person to drive on the bridge, he realized he had to get the hell out of there. He got out of his car. His dog Tubby refused to get out. Professor Farquharson went and tried to get him. He was the wind tunnel expert for the University of Washington. He actually crawled on his hands and knees, went out to try and get Tubby out of Coatsworth's car. Tubby wouldn't go. Tubby bit the guy, tried to get him out of the car, and finally he said, I got to get out of here. There's Professor Farquharson. And finally, it all came crashing down. The only fatality in this, because they had closed the bridge, obviously, nobody's going to drive over this thing. The only fatality was Tubby, the Cocker Spaniel that belonged to the writer of Tacoma News Tribune. Tubby went into the drink with the car. By the way, Coatsworth got $450 for his car and $364 for Tubby. Here it goes. Yikes. Down went Galloping Gertie on this date in 1940. 2 birthdays to pass along to you. The man who was listed on the Gallup poll of the most admired men in America a record 61 times, the late Reverend Billy Graham, who preached the gospel to more people in history ever. Who knows how many billions. He was born in the state in 1918. And happy birthday to Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell is 79 years old today. We love her. Going to take a break. Got an opinion from my Mad Dog McNaughty, and then my conversation that we taped last Friday with Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore and Douglas County Auditor Thad Duvall. It's that time of the year. Important information from those two coming up. You're watching Wake Up in H Valley on the NCW Life channel.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
Welcome to Bubbly by Cake Chick, where friends come to relax and reconnect. Enjoy delicious lunches, decadent desserts, classic champagne, and bourbon tastings. Make every day an occasion when you join friends at Bubbly by Cake Chick on Riverside Drive in Wenatchee.
Hey
folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills. A chill is in the air and it's a perfect time for some old-fashioned comfort food like our amazing Eggs Benedict, chicken fried steak, French dips, soups made from scratch, or fruit pies fresh from the oven. The crowds might be gone, but we're still here for you folks. So bring an appetite and a friend to Blueberry Hills in Manson, where you pick, you sit, you eat, and you visit. Open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 to 3. wildaboutberries.com.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Renaissance artist Michelangelo. Now, come on, that man, he was an incredible genius, and his sculptures are nothing short of miraculous. Good grief. Thinking of him often makes me wonder, where are the similar geniuses of today? I don't have to admit, among others, I think Pete Townsend of The Who is one. Really. I mean, despite his drinking, drugging, and libertine lifestyle, which actually, frankly, puts him in the company of other artistic geniuses, his creation of the rock opera Tommy, as well as many of his other works, puts him right up there. Now, Alan Turing, the father of the theoretical science that broke the Nazi naval Enigma code, is certainly another. And another one of my favorites, a comic genius, Steve Harvey of Family Feud. Oh, come on, that guy is incredible. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, maybe not as genius as Michelangelo, but genius in a different way. Steve Harvey. Gotcha, dude. Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Hey folks, Lehman here with Crown Furniture and Mattress. Folks, there's no question if you're looking for top quality furniture and mattresses, Crown Furniture and Mattress is the place for you. Whether it's FlexSteel's patented Blue Steel Spring, Englander's 120 years of innovation, or Stan's incredible comfort. Folks, we have it all. So stop by and see us today at 736 South Wenatchee Avenue.
This could be the view out of your office window.
North Central Washington is probably one of the most beautiful places to live, and you get to experience it all as a transit operator.
Link Transit coach operators enjoy full family benefits, paid CDL training, a state-of-the-art fleet, and the satisfaction of being part of a progressive, community-minded team.
We have a lot of fun with each other. I mean, it's a good group of people. We're all kind of like a family.
If you like this view, Link has a seat for you. The next operator training starts soon. Apply today at linktransit.com.
Hey Wenatchee Valley, this is Ben Griffin. I'm here with my friend Eddie the Yeti. He wants to share some big news.
Arctic Refrigeration is now employee owned and has a new name, Columbia Cooling and Refrigeration. I want you to remember this summer, when you're hot and sweaty, call the Eddie.
No, it's called the Yeti, Y-E-T-I, not called the Eddie.
Whatever. We are a factory authorized Bryant dealer. Whatever it takes.
Give us a call at Columbia Cooling and Refrigeration at 509-662-5911.
Welcome back to the program. General Election Day, November 8th, as late as it can be, and these two gentlemen will tell you that's actually a good thing in their job. They're earning their paychecks, as they always do, for this off-year election. Sitting to my immediate left is the Douglas County Auditor Thad Duvall, and his cohort in Chelan County, Skip Moore, joins us always this time of the year. It's good to see you, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. That's a little busy.
Yeah, well, let's start with that, and we'll let both of you address it. How are things since the ballots began to flow in over the last couple of weeks? How you doing in both of your departments?
Well, Douglas County is at 31% return right now, but we are expecting a 60 to 70% turnout, so it's going to have a lot of ballots come in over the weekend and through Election Day to make that work. But we think it's going to happen.
Skip? Same way. We're at 30% as of yesterday. I anticipate we're going to probably hit that 75% mark like we did 2 years ago or 4 years ago. Yep. Which means, geez, I'm going to be getting another 20,000 ballots in the next 3 days. So it's going to be a little busy, but it's a good thing. Turnout's always a good thing.
It is Friday as we tape this, and so we need to have that little caveat there. And perhaps the biggest caveat of all, we have a lot to touch on. Thad mentioned this before. Almost half the votes, when the final tally is all said and done and it's certified, about half the votes are going to be after Election Day, are they not? I mean, it's going to be that kind of scenario.
Yeah, when we release election results on election night, that's only the ballots we've been able to process up to that point. And quite frankly, Election Day is so busy, we aren't able to actually process on Election Day, but we do obviously receive all the ballots in. So the turnout percentage on election night will not be the eventual turnout by the time we certify the election. And so we just want to make sure people know that. Sometimes it's the turnout on election night that sticks in people's heads, like 30 or 40%, but in the end, we're going to be 60, 70, 75% when it's all said and done.
I did a little homework, because you're supposed to do your homework when you talk to people about this important deal. In the August primary season in the state of Washington, I think Washington had the 4th highest turnout among all of the states, and 8 of the 10 states that had the highest turnout in the August primary were all states that do vote by mail either exclusively or majority vote by mail. Once again, vote by mail works and it increases turnout.
I believe, yes, it certainly increases turnout. It just takes that one little hurdle, and anything that you put in a hurdle of having to go to the poll site, anything you put in the way or make it a little bit more difficult to vote drives down your level of participation. This way, by giving every voter well early to Election Day the opportunity to get it and take the time to get it in, certainly drives it up. We've taken all those hurdles away, drop boxes, we pay the postage on the ballot. So those level of issues that may slow down turnout have been solved. So yeah, we get good turnout and it's a clean process.
I'm going to have, this is my actual ballot here. I'm going to have Thad hand this to Skip. I know my vote's going to count because Skip's going to take it back to the office with him. As I give this to you, I want to point one thing out here, and I'm just going to cover up my address. We're going to talk about this barcode right here in the lower right-hand corner. And Thad, as you hand that to Skip, let's talk about ballot security. What happened?
Looks like it's signed, Skip.
It's signed. At least it's not a no say. I've seen that signature before. I think that's about right.
Yeah, on my golf scorecard. Walk me through the process. The ballot has arrived at your respective offices, either in Waterville or just up the road at Skip's office. What happens from that point forward, Thad? I'll let you, both of you, address it.
Well, when we bring the ballots in, we separate them and put them in batches. And then the first thing we do after we do that, when we log them in where they came from, is then we take them to the signature checking station. So if Skip holds that up there and covers the address,
thank you, Skip.
We take the signature and we compare it with the one we have on hand in the computer. And if we get a match at that point, then the voter is credited for voting. And then I'll let Skip take it from there.
Right, because it's that's a big control. Is we scan this, the barcode that's on the bottom here. We scan that, and that brings up your voter file. Mm-hmm. We see the signature on the screen, gives us the reference sample, we check the signature, so now we can pretty much are certain that you returned your ballot and you're credited voting. At that point, we've still got a lot more to do with this ballot. We've got to take it from there, it goes over to a machine, or depending on the process, we slice the envelope so we can get into it. Our process is we got a pretty cool machine that drops a machine, takes slices on 2 sides, little suction cups, grab the outside of the envelope and pull it open. So the operator can just pull out the secrecy sleeve and the ballot at the same time. And then in that process, you can't even see the signature, which goes back to that privacy issue or secrecy side of it. When they pull out the envelope, the ballot and the secrecy sleeve, the machine automatically advances this envelope away, and then the next one that's pulled out, it's gone. So the chance of knowing how someone voted is taken out of the process, because you've got ballot in one hand, envelope in the other, and they go in different directions at that point. So we can't track back how an individual voted based upon just opening the envelope and just, well, how'd this go? We don't do that, we spread them apart. And that also is a control at the end of the election. For every ballot that we're tabulating, we have an envelope and a signature from the voter, which serves kind of like a poll book of the old days. So many ballots, so many envelopes and signatures. That's how we balance the process.
Go ahead, Ted.
So what I wanted to just really drive home is, please, if you could just picture that in your mind, you've got the ballot in the secrecy sleeve and the signature which connects the two. They go two completely different directions. From that point on, no one knows whose ballot that is. You have total ballot secrecy.
Both of you have a very secure campus where this is taking place. You have people, paid professionals who do this during this time of the year. How are things? How's morale? Have you been getting any nasty emails or phone calls about rigged this and crooked that? Any of that going on?
No, we haven't. I haven't. Our office is. I've got a couple frequent flyers that always are willing to give me a call and discuss with me what they think about the process. But as far as the general public coming in, getting replacement ballots, registering for the first time, it's all been good. And our folks, since we haven't been jammed up yet with volume, they've been able to rhythmically move through the process. Now, when we start back up on Monday and Tuesday, it'll get a little hectic, because the concern will be we'll get that big slug of ballots on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then our hope is as rapidly as possible, but correctly, process them to get them into the results, because that's a short week next week.
That's right. The Veterans Day is actually on a Saturday this year, so the holiday is going to be observed on a Friday. That's one less
day of processing.
One less day of processing.
Yes.
But on the other side of the coin, Election Day is November 8th, which is as late as it can be, and both of you are on a record. You kind of like that. The fact that you have that much more time between the August 2nd primary and the November 8th general election is actually
more
beneficial.
Room between, yeah.
Yeah, that does help out. It does put us a little bit later into weather, though. But other than that, we're good. But I just want to comment on, but there is a lot of concern out there, and we do get concern calls, and we have a few people who would like us to just do everything by hand and count them by hand and do all that, and so we get that kind of feedback all the time, from just a few people. But my Dropbox people are reporting that all the interactions that they've had when they're out among the public and picking the ballots and people are dropping them off, they're saying that their interactions have been good. Our Dropbox people, and they have the name tags, and they've got, they're clearly identifiable, and they've had good interaction.
Good interaction. No,
with people thanking them for doing their job, and so we're pleased with that.
And it is a bit of a thankless job. Who's kidding who? It's not a pleasant job. It's not an exciting job to sit there in that room and do all of that stuff. Yeah. But this is critically important work, and your workers are well vetted in this department.
Yes.
Yeah, they really are. Interestingly enough, there's a lot more for folks in Chelan County to have to decide than Douglas County, but you're both predicting pretty high turnout. Douglas County, you have the 4th Congressional District, you have the Eastmont School District bomb, but only those people who live in the Eastmont School District will be voting on that. Right. And the competition for the Douglas County PUD, that's about all we got to decide there in Douglas County. But you're still predicting a pretty heavy turnout. That's got to make you feel good, even though there's really not that much to decide.
I think so. And there's, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of ads, there's a lot of, there's been debates and everything. So it is definitely in people's mind. You're not going to forget about the election, okay? That's true. So I think people will be motivated to vote.
On your side of the river, you have the 8th Congressional District. You got 2 people running for sheriff, 2 people running for the open Chelan County Commission seat. You got a district court judge, and another PUD deal. There's a lot of decisions for the folks in Chelan County to be making, and that's why you're thinking you're going to be well above 70%.
I think, yes, that's why I think we're going to get right around that 75%, because very active race, competitive races, and. There's still a little bit of hangover from the 2020 process, and people are still energized, which is a good thing. They're getting involved. So I think that's what's helping as well, drive our turnout in that the national picture of the House of Representative races, the Senate races, those types of things, are all helping push up the turnout this time around.
And this is very critical. I want to emphasize the timeline again. Yes, election night is Tuesday, 8 o'clock. That's it. Done. We'll get an initial dump of ballots, everything that was counted up to that point. It'll be spit out via your websites through the Secretary of State's portal, and then we're not going to get anything until Thursday afternoon. And we need to stress that, right, Thad and Skip?
Yes, we'll have a lot in-house. Mm-hmm. We're going to be receiving, we were talking earlier, I anticipate that we're going to get close to 20,000 ballots in the next 3 days.
And you have 50,000 and change
51,000 registered voters.
So almost a half.
Yes, almost half is going to happen in the next 3 days. And we just cannot push them through the process quick enough so that by Thursday, quite often on the Friday after the election on Tuesday, we're pretty much done with our massive amount of tabulation. That's not going to be the case this time around because of short week. We've seen a late return of the ballots. It's going to be midweek. It's almost going to be the Tuesday or Wednesday following the election. This is when we finally have results and have processed enough ballots that we're down to that 200 ballots in-house scenario. That's a long time, or not a long time. It's longer than has happened in the past.
Well, it'll be a long time if we have close races.
Well, that's the other part, yes. If you have close races, there will be, candidates, and even the citizens will be going, why don't we know where we're at? And let's remember, the election's not certified and done until the 29th of November this year. So that's the opportunity to allow military and overseas voters for their ballots to still get back. If they have a valid postmark on them, we still count them.
And it's happened. It's happened before. You've had valid ballots that were postmarked before Election Day that you didn't get till 2 weeks after Election Day. That's just the nature of the beast.
That is something that's happened. So it's going to be a little bit drug out this time. It's just going to take a little bit longer. We won't be able to say on Tuesday night it's over. Yeah. Thursday, the following Tuesday, some things will still be up in the air.
If you're concerned about your ballot, first thing to do, save these guys a huge headache, go to their websites. Every day, at the end of the day, they spit out the spreadsheet, and you can look. You can see, hey, my ballot was counted, it was accepted, and I'm good to go. And this is something that I highly recommend. I do it every day. That's how I find out for the turnout is thing. So that's if you go, God, where's my ballot? Where's the status of my ballot? Both of your websites have the spreadsheets. It's right there.
Right there.
Yeah, and speaking of the timing of ballots coming back in, we would, from here on out, we would advise people to use the Dropbox for two reasons. Number one, that way you know for sure we're picking them up with an individual every day, and in addition to that, it'll get to us a little quicker that way, because if you put it in the mail, sometimes it does take several days to work through the process and get back to us. So using the Dropbox will get us more ballots sooner, and because we don't want somebody on election day, especially, to go use a mail Dropbox that's already been picked up. If that happens, and then they pick it up the next day, you'll get the next day's postmark, and it'll be a late ballot. So use the Dropboxes. You don't have to worry about that.
Two more quick things before we send them on their way. Don't forget, you can register to vote right up to Election Day. You can get there, you'll get signed up, show up with your ID, you'll get a provisional ballot, you'll vote, and it may count.
No, it'll be an actual ballot.
No, an actual ballot.
If they register, that's good to go.
Right. So you can register right up to Election Day.
We vet that through Vote Law in our system, and we're checking the ID, and if that all works out, that's not a provisional ballot. It's good to go.
You're both running unopposed. What's it like to vote for yourself?
Well, it's kind of, I look at it as, well, at least if I vote for myself, I'm usually assured that I might win.
Or you can, in Douglas County, there are a lot of unopposed positions. We can compare notes afterwards to see.
And there is always a little bit of the bragging rights. So who of the unopposed candidates got the most votes?
Again, these guys, I can't tell you how professional these guys are. Skip, of course, before he became Chelan County Auditor, was in charge of elections in Chelan County. Thad has been doing his job in Douglas County for when Thad started, Elvis was still dead. That's how long Thad's been doing this job. These guys are top-flight professionals, and your staff. Let's close out with that. Give lots of love to the folks who are doing yeoman's work, not only up in Waterville, but in Chelan County. I'll let you guys take it home.
Well, let me just mention what just happened. We do have observers that come up, and we had a set of observers that were here on Wednesday. After they had spent a couple of hours thoroughly understanding the process and watching our election workers work, we got an email back saying that they really appreciated it. They had a good understanding. We have integrity. We're following the law, and it was highly complimentary of the staff and how they were doing their job. And that I would like to echo that they're well trained. They're doing a good job.
Exactly. My folks same way. They do care about the process. Elections is one of those deals where once you get into it, it's either you love it and you want to do it the best you possibly can, or within 2 years we're running to get away from it. Because we can't wait, we can't put off election day, we can't wait. This has to happen. And everybody that works for me, all of my folks, care about ensuring what they're doing is correct and that they actually are making sure the public, their vote, one, counts, and two, they're given the opportunity to vote. So it does make a huge difference. They do care. We're not just handling pieces of paper. We look at it a little bit more important than that.
We'll close it with that. General election, November 8th. And Thad and Skip, thanks for coming in and spending, I know this is an incredibly busy time for you guys to take some time out and visit us. We appreciate it.
Certainly. Thank you. Check the list to make sure this is in there.
You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, and we will be right back.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be? And what would it be like? With today's home values, this is the perfect time to sell and make those dreams real. When you work with a world-class agent at Coldwell Banker, you benefit from trusted guidance and our revolutionary seller's assurance program to make your home sale more rewarding than ever. So it really is true. Your dreams don't have to be just dreams.
When I was about 16, I got in a relationship. He hit me for the first time in front of his daughter. He physically abused me in front of my children. I couldn't do it no more. Sage was there for me when I needed them. I didn't hear a lecture from them. I didn't hear anything, but just acceptance. And that's what I needed at the time. And they help you with everything that you need to move on in life and heal.
The Clearwater Saloon and Casino has the best Vegas-style games in East Wenatchee. Come enjoy yourself and discover the nightly action. Win big and meet new friends at the Clearwater Saloon and Casino.
Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge in Leavenworth has a warm environment to enhance your dining experience. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Crystal's Intimate Lounge is a wonderful place to relax and dine with beautiful views of the mountains. Do you have a special occasion coming up? Call Crystal's to reserve their event space. Whether your event is grand, intimate, or casual, Crystal's provides unforgettable food and superb service. Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge, proud to be serving fabulous food and drinks. We are at 30 degrees here in the big city, and I don't know what was just happened behind me there. I'm a little scared about that. That's an awesome shot there, Tucker. What is that? The above Cashmere, pointing back towards Wenatchee? That's a nice view there. All of the foothills are covered in snow, as you can see there. You can see the exact snow line. As a matter of fact, we had some spittles of snow here in the Wenatchee Valley. It was mostly rain, and we had torrential rains over the weekend. To add it all up, we had over an inch of rain between Friday and Sunday, and for us, that's a lot of rain. And now the big weather story, cold. really cold. We've been talking about this. This shouldn't be a secret by now. We're going to see overnight lows in the teens tonight. Pretty close to that, but certainly Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, right on into Friday, overnight lows in the teens. And temperatures not very warm either. We'll see only high temperatures right around the freezing mark by the middle of the week. So get ready for a big cold snap, but we should be dry, just cold. And that's it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.